So I would like to invite Hans to join the stage, right? So you will talk about transforming business models.
Yes, thank you.
Here you go.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
it should work.
Yes, so Bram already told a lot about how generative AI is working and what the applications are, and also want to talk a little bit about the business impact and how we are actually already working with these models and help companies with it. And you're looking at these little creatures, and these are our Neople, and we are an employment agency of digital humans, and these are the digital humans. So this is Emily and Sam and Charlie, and these avatars are already working in different companies, and they are looking different, but that's for a reason, because they are all completely trained different. So they are all tailored to a certain company, certain information, but also in a way of working. So they are really adopted to the companies that they are working. More on that later. But yeah, first, how did we end up here? And I think that's what Ron was saying is it's like a revolution, a new revolution, but it's completely different compared to the previous revolutions. Like this is the Industrial Revolution, and that was automating everything we do by hand. So it's like the work you do, you make it easier, you make it faster, you automate it, but that's all the things that you do by hand. And what we are seeing is that the things that you still have to do by hand are actually the things that requires your head, and it needs to adapt to certain situations. So it's actually like the thinking work. And where we are now is like we are in the automation of thinking. And that means that we are not there yet, but that means that in a few years, we will probably automate a lot of the things that we can do, and it's left as a human. For example, if you ask me, I think 2 or 3 years ago, what the jobs were where you will be secured for a job in the future, it's like being an artist, because that cannot be automated, of course. Looking at these pictures, these are not mine, these are from Midjourney. And the other one is coding, development. Like, so you need to be a software developer, then you have jobs for 50 years. 60% of the code base that we have currently is generated by AI. So we now are 2.5 times more efficient than before, you can say. But on the other hand, we are actually hiring 60% less people in the tech department because we don't need them. It's already automated. And that means that if you combine the automation, things you do by hand, and the automation of the thinking, what's left for us? And that's also where our Neople come in. So these are really helpful, how do you say it, co-workers. So they are real co-workers. They can do everything that some of their colleagues can, but they are completely made out of code. Our vision is that it will fundamentally change the way we work, and it will be completely different in the future. And that's a major thing, and that's this is irreversible, and it won't stop. And we don't know how it looks in the future, but I can show you how it looks now. We have no idea how it looks in the future. I think that's the most difficult thing right now, because we cannot foresee what is happening after the internet revolution. Before the internet revolution, nobody thought of TikTok. It's like we don't know what's going to happen. That means that AI is already outperforming most of the jobs already done by humans. So it started with handwriting recognition, but now, like I said, it's code generation, mathematics, that Bram was telling, and this will change a lot. Another thing that will happen, and this is what Bill Gates said, it's when we have an AI assistant that is doing everything for you, why is there a need for an interface? Like you have the interface of Amazon, it will completely disappear because you say, okay, I'm hungry, and food is ordered. And when you say, I want to read a book, it gives a book suggestion, and it's already ordered. So the way that we can look at working with tools and working with things around us can completely change, because we will be assisted. And we also think that like having a conversation is also a more natural way of communicating with each other, and that's also why our Neople are completely conversation based, just talking to each other, and that's the way that we interact with a computer in the future. So then we come to the Neople, and these are your helpful co-workers, and these are already working in the tools that you already work. So we believe that you don't need more tools. I think there are enough tools in the world. And if if you look to the most of the AI presentations, it's like a complete list of all the tools you can use and make your work a lot better. But yeah, I think that's not the solution. The solution is that you are interacting in a different way and not having more buttons, more handles, more screens, more platforms. So that's also why our Neople are just working at the places that you already work, and that's like, where do you communicate with your colleagues? Where do you communicate with your colleagues? Wherever they are, yeah. So that's in the office. But when you're digitally communicating with them, it's like I can imagine WhatsApp, right, or Slack, or Teams. So that's the place where your colleagues are, and when you ask your colleague to do something for you, you will go there and ask the question there. So that's also the place that we thought, okay, that is where a Neople need to work, because that's the workplace for a colleague. And we are now working with a lot of customers already, so also with PSV, but most of the clients that we have are now in e-commerce, and that means they have a lot of questions from their clients. And this is not like we are not employing chatbots in these companies, but it's like we are helping their teams to be more efficient and to also handle all the questions of their customers. And how we do that? When you start with a Neople, it's like onboarding a real colleague. So that means that it's the first workday of a digital employee, and then you come to work and say, okay, where do I have to start? What kind of information do I have to learn to do my job? So you start just with your handbooks. It starts with the website of the company, your HR plan, and also like the things that you provide to your employees. You provide that to a digital employee, like sending them all the documentations, sending them the links, and they will read everything and start there. Then the other thing is like the dynamic tools. So, and the dynamic tools, I mean like the screens and the buttons that you use in your work, like for example, your CRM, your OMS, your warehouse management. These tools, we also learn these tools to the Neople because it needs to find information there. It has to search for information in your ecosystem, in your tool chain, to find the right information to work with. So that's what we do. Like the onboarding, we start with, okay, you have to work in this platform and you have this information to do your job. And that's where it starts. And then your Neople at work. So the digital employee, like I said, you can find it in WhatsApp, and you can ask them questions about your work. So it's like a question about, I have an error on my product, and what's happening. That sounds like a question that you can ask to a colleague when it is your first work week, but it can also be after 10 years that you say, okay, what was it again? And you start asking it to a digital colleague, and it will search all the information that it has, all the information it's trained on, but also the things that it has access to. And then it will come with just an answer, like your colleague will do, but it can also help you do your work. So, for example, when a customer asks a question, it will say, okay, this will be the answer for your customer, and can send that out to your customer. And where we're also working on, like it's now more in the communication thing, but also doing things. So somebody asks, can you refund this customer? Can you send this to the warehouse? Then we will also start doing the process in the tools, and we just flip the buttons in the tools to do their work there. And I think that's something that's very useful. But then we come to the point, where are we? What's up to us? Like, we don't have to do anything more in the company, and we can think of a company that is just based on 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 different AI agents working in a company, and you have maybe some people that are talking to the customers, and some people that are just chit-chatting together. And I think that's something that we are going towards. One of the clients that is now working with a digital employee is Toppie. I'm not sure if people know Toppie. They are from Veghel. Huh? Okay, Toppie is it's an interesting company. So what they are doing, if you want to buy a swimming pool or something else in the garden, and you start Googling, you probably will end up by Toppie. And that means they are e-commerce, so they're just sending stuff to your home. But on the other hand, is also the more complex and larger products that needs a lot of advice. And that's what makes it interesting. And we employed Bob there, and Bob is helping on all the questions that come from their customers. So that can be product-specific questions, but it can also be like the e-commerce questions. So where is my package? Why did I receive it yet? But also on how large does my swimming pool need to be to train for the Olympics? Things like that. You can ask all these things to Toppie, but also to Bob. And Bob's helped them. What they did, and I think that makes it also a really interesting case for us, is that they embedded Bob completely in the company. Because it's the digital colleague, and it's on the website in their like this. These are our employees, and it's also internally in their how do you call it, Spoelenboek, their Facebook, and all the information that it has, it's all. This is also the information that Bob has. So he knows who he is and what his favorite color is and what he likes. So sometimes when a customer starts talking to Bob, he said, "Oh yeah, and my favorite color is yellow." It starts talking about that, but it's all the information. This is the character of Bob, and it's really acting like it's said here, but it's also on their Facebook. They completely onboarded Bob like their normal colleagues, and what they help with is not only being more efficient, so like increasing the speed of handling all the tickets, but they are also using Bob to make the quality of the answers that they provide to the customers at a higher level. And that's because they have more information. It's always friendly. It will always be in the right tone of voice, but it also have more information that all the agents possibly can have. So the quality of the answers that they are providing to their customers is going up because they are using Bob. And we integrated in their complete ecosystem. And for them, it was a really important thing to start with Bob, because they have seasonality. That means that when the sun is shining, then everybody goes to the garden and say, "Okay, I want a new swimming pool," or things like that. So they have to hire a lot of people in their summer season, and then you have to onboard them all, and you have a lot of issues there. So we help them with to handle the seasonal pressure that they have, and that's that they don't have to hire new people in the summer, and that really helps. The onboarding. So what we learned to Bob is like the manuals, and it's like the product manuals. So every product that they sell, and I think is about 30,000, and Bob has learned all the information that's in there. So it has always access to all this information. Also the knowledge that they have in the drive. So when some customer finds out something in their process or in the products, they put it in the drive and just type, "Okay, this happened with the customer and it was not going good." There's also the information that Bob is having, all the historical data, and also the things from the website. So there are a lot of blogs on the website about the products, like this. It's hoeveel filterballen heb ik nodig voor mijn zwembad? How many filter balls do I need for my swimming pool? That's like a blog that they wrote to inform the customer. And the customers are not reading all this information all the time, so they have a question about it. And it's also using that information dynamically to answer the questions. And when people are asking for their orders, that's also really interesting because then it just search in their order system to the right customer saying, okay, your package is already shipped, but it will be delivered on Tuesday. Then it's like, okay, I see that the package is already shipped. It's probably there on Tuesday. And then they don't have to look it up themselves. It saves a lot of time, you can imagine, but also gives a better experience to their customers. And what we do, and I think that's also really interesting, it's like besides it's answering questions from the customers, it's also working in Slack. And you probably know Slack, but it's like an internal communication tool. And they are using it internally because when they are in the warehouse, they also have questions about, oh, what was this product? Where was it for? Where can I use it for? And do we have this in stock? And also this information is just given to the employees of Toppy because it's one of the colleagues that can answer all these questions. And this that also means a lot for their internal knowledge and working in the company. This is already told, and so this is a case of how generative AI is already helping companies to be more efficient, to help your customers better. And what we aim to do with this digital employees is like being a platform for digital employees. So that means that when you, with your company, and you're not shipping swimming pools probably, that you can learn a Neople or a digital employee to work in your company, to learn how you want it to behave in certain situations, how they want to, that you learn how to handle certain processes. And then we are just supplying it and make it easy and just make them work like a normal human, so you can hire them and start with your Neople. And that's where we're working on. And I think that's a nice application. And then the question: do we still need people in a company in 2024? You have a question?
First of all, I will say the visuals are really good.
Yeah.
Really original. And my question is, in the onboarding phase of this one.
Where's the box? Oh, there's the box. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I repeat briefly. I like the visuals so much. I think everybody else. I just wondering, in the onboarding part of the these co-workers.
Yeah.
In e-commerce, in the background, there are too many different systems, and they have interoperability issues. I mean, logistic, fulfillment, accounting, Shopify, other web shops. There are too many technical issues. How do you teach them to overcome, find out the problem and solution alternatives? I don't know. I think this is also an important part.
Yep.
Are you guys also educating them on the technical side for problem solving?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you mean how do we integrate all these systems and how are you managing that? Because every company is different and they all have their own compatibility issues.
I mean, in all these different systems have with each other compatibility issues.
Yeah.
And every e-commerce company faces them.
Yeah.
And they need technician who experience. And I just wondering, are you guys teaching them? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's thinking in the old way of integrating systems, because our vision and the way a Neople works, it's like we are working in a system like a human does. So that means that when you can access information inside a system, then also a digital employee can. So it's not like APIs. It's also not RPA. It's really reading the tool and knowing where to find, what to put into the search box, and then find out and get that information and use that for your for receiving answers. So when a human can access this, and Neople can also access it.
Okay, one last question.
Yeah.
Authentication. If one customer calls and then says order number, where is my order or the problems? How the system authenticated? This is really this customer is.
Yeah.
I mean,
So the authentication for the Neople itself, it's like it has its own account. That's how it does. But on the other hand, what you mean, like when somebody asks for somebody else's order,
Yes.
it's the same process as with a Neople as with a normal employee. So a normal employee says also, okay, you can give me your order number, and they will check their email address, because then they know it's the right user, right? So we are also using these authentications and also learning that authentication to the digital employee, so it can handle it in the same way. So we are not making a new tool, it's like copying human behavior, but then automated by AI.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Mhm.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, the books.
Thank you. My name is Ramirka. Thank you for the very nice presentation. My question is related, but more on the technical side.
Yeah.
Because there are different ways to deploy language models. Like you can just use them,
Yeah.
you can extend them, or you can build them yourselves. Yeah. So in your case, during the onboarding,
Yeah.
you yourself extend the model by feeding all this company-related tools and documentation. So who is doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. So how we are doing it, it's like also the same thing. It's we are copying human behavior there. So how you are searching in a document, our AI is also searching in a document. So it's not that we fine tune or train. So for some situations we fine tune the model, but it's not more like how to behave more like a human. But it's not like fine tuning on find the right information in this document. So we are only fine tuning the skills, and then what's left, it's like searching in a document in the same way. And of course we have some technique to make it more efficient, but the principle is the same.
But with, let's say, addition of each customer, then your system is evolving. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but it's more about the training and not about the knowledge. So the system is evolving on the way it works, but not on the specific knowledge. That's always search. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Prashant. My question is around the validation or evaluation of the responses which are coming in from the bot. How do you do you have any strategy? How do you do that?
Yeah. So what we that's also a good question. So we always provide the source where they found the information, so they can check it themselves. And we are not, in some cases, but in most cases, we are not directly communicating with the customer. So it's the employee that gets the answer and can use the answer for everything it wants, but it can also check where the information is coming from. And that's especially an important thing when you are using LLMs, because they are hallucinating a lot. So you want to check if the answer is right. And we have also a lot of extra checks to make hallucinating less, but it's always hallucinating. That's the nature of these models. So you have to have the right source to find the answer. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Apurva, and thank you for the mic, Prakash. So my question is on the ethical consideration. How does Neople deal with things like bias and privacy, for instance?
Yeah, I think that these are completely different things. Bias and privacy.
Absolutely.
But, bias is it's in the end it's always advice that we provide, and it's never we don't make the decisions. That's a very important thing. So when you have an AI model that's making decisions, then bias is a very difficult thing. But we also let the human be in control of if the last decision, and that also means that when a decision needs to be made, then always we actively reach out to one of the colleagues and say, okay, I can do A or B. What shall you do? That's how we fix that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can automate it, but then you have biases. So it's yeah.
Hi. For the company who's hiring the digital people, what's the cost?
That's very good. So Neople has a salary. I think that's the way. That's the first thing that you need to know. So it's like it's not an implementation. It's just like hiring people, and they cost money like normal people do. They cost less than real humans. I think that's a very important thing to note. So that means that it's around half a normal salary of the same human. So that's how it works.
I have a related question, a bit more philosophical.
Yeah.
What
I like it.
What if the question you pose here, or the answer to the question you pose here, would be that we need much less people? What do you think about how the distribution of wealth should be? So, what should we do?
What's your suggestion? Sorry?
Do you think of a basic income, or do you think of the CEO of the company? Well, he just is a lucky person, or can you shine a light on?
Yeah, but I think that it's the same thing that happens with the last revolutions. I think two things will happen. The first thing is our productivity will go up. I think that's a very important thing. So we can create more, and creating more doesn't mean more pollution and everything. It's like you can do more also on that side. So it's like the output of what we all do will be more. So there's also more wealth to distribute. That's something that happens all the revolutions. The other thing is we will have different jobs. And that means that some jobs are maybe a little bit pointless, but is making a podcast right now, is it pointless? I think it's still useful, but it's not a job that you will qualify as useful in 20 years ago. I think that will be completely different. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah? Okay. Where's the... Oh, there's...
Hi,
Yeah.
My name is Thomas. Previous speakers spoke about co-pilots.
Yeah.
Most people speak about increasing capacities of AI. You yourself say perhaps we'll have a peopleless company in 2024. My question is, do the real human employees experience any problems with the loss of autonomy if Neople colleagues are hired?
Yeah.
And if AI, follow-up question, if AI doesn't have the same capacities as humans yet, could these people who experience a loss of autonomy hold the progress of AI, like the Writers' Union in America did by striking?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. So actually, what we also see is when people are not in control, and then it's like they do my job, then we have a big issue with in our clients, because they think then they won't accept it, they won't adopt it, and that's a real issue. So you also always have to take into account when employing a digital employee. In some companies, it's not called a digital employee, but it's called a digital assistant, because that makes it less stressful, so to say. And it's also that we put the number of, or the amount of autonomy that it gets, or the amount of autopilot you can give to the Neople in the hands of the user. So if you say, okay, this is a stupid question, I don't want to answer it, then it will be autonomous. If it is a question, no, I want to dive into it and I want to do it myself, then they have the possibility to do it themselves. And I think that's, especially in this phase, really important, because otherwise your adoption will drastically drop. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation, Hans. I guess there are other companies making these intelligent agents or intelligent employees. There must be, I think, also some interesting competition there. What makes you different than these other companies?
Yeah. So that's true. So I think that there are more digital assistants, but they are more focused on you as a user and not you as a team. I think that's a big difference. So it's working inside a team, working together with all your colleagues with the same job. So it's not your assistant. The other thing is that when you're looking at the business tools, they are all doing these autopilots and making them smarter and integrated everything and in their tool. But then it's not an integrated solution. So what we do, we work on top of all the tools. And that's the reason why we are mimicking human behavior, because then you can do things that the tools can do, because it's like it's inside the box of the tool and we're working on top of it, like the user does. So it's one place where, we also see not a lot of competition in these team agents. It's more like the tool agents or the personal assistant. Yeah.
And about the technology that you're using, mainly on the type of LLM, but just to understand, to see if I understand it correctly, what you basically do is you use embeddings to vectorize all the documents of a company, and then you use LLMs to search the similarities between the question of the user and the documents that you have, and then you summarize an answer from that. Is that in the direction of what you're doing?
No, that's one part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
That's correct, but that doesn't make a good colleague. That just is an intelligent knowledge source. So that's not what we are doing. So what we are doing is understanding, and that's what we really do, and we use different models for it. And we're actually changing these models all the time. So it can be Claude one day, and it can be GPT-4 on certain questions, and it can be LLM. It doesn't matter that much. But what we do, we start by understanding what your colleagues want. Does it want to search for information? Does it you to do something in your tools? Does it want you to help with a certain task? So we try to understand what your colleague wants, and we train it for that. And then after that, we can do numerous things. And one of these things that we can do is do the intelligent knowledge search.
Okay, thank you. Very short follow-up, because my question was about the types of LLMs that you use. You mentioned you use them all. I was just wondering...
not all, but a lot. Yeah.
You use a lot? What's your experience in that? Like, what models work well for that?
Yeah. Currently, that's before the new model of Google, actually, but GPT-4 is the most powerful in complex analysis. That's definitely what it is. In conversations, Claude is way better. It's way better in having normal interactions and talking to you. It's not like the strange sentences like as a language model. So all these things makes it more human. And I think that's these are big differences that we see. And GPT 3.5 is way faster. So there are a lot of different advantages if you compare different models. But we also have their own smaller models just for doing smaller tasks. So that's
Insightful, thank you.
Yeah.
We are done, sorry. Sako, thank you very much for all your questions, right? Hey, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. One final slide, right? So give him a big applause, right? All interesting.